They were just allegations as far as I'm concerned. Even now, I think they are still in the realm of allegation until we hear from the Inspector General.
Even if the spokesperson of the Nigeria police force confirms that indeed his boss has gone from Benue to Nasarawa, can we say that's an allegation?
Well, it's in the public domain that he went from Benue to Nasarawa, but nobody knew that he didn't spend a night in Benue. Not going from Benue to Nasarawa is not the issue. That was in the public domain. I know he went to Nasarawa, but did we know that he didn't spend a night? No.
According to what the president said yesterday, it was less about the time frame in which he stayed in Benue and more about the fact that this was, in the view of the president, a potential case of insubordination.
No, it's about the time frame. It's about the time
solely.
Frame. Majorly, it's about the time frame. Because if he says relocate to Benue and you get there and you didn't even spend a night there and you moved, then it's an issue.
Now, what's the follow-up process now in this regard? What's the next step? What's the next line of action if you're the president?
Well, that just came to light yesterday, so we need to wait and see what follows. Okay. It's the prerogative of the president.
What are the assurances? I mean, what else struck you yesterday, listening to some of the conversations that went on yesterday? What else struck you about the conversations that happened there? Yeah.
I went away from Benue with many things. One is that despite what is happening now in certain parts of the country, we have a president that is very well respected. Because all those who spoke, Tortiv, Governor Tom, his deputy, General Tompera, retired, General... there's another retired general, his name escaped me now. All of them spoke well of the president. In fact, they had one encounter or the other to recall of his good heart. So, that is the man that leads us as a president. And that kindles confidence in the heart that this man will not deliberately leave injustice to fester.
Mr. Adesina, I want to go to a statement made by a ranking senator, George Akume, yes, who essentially said that, look, Benue gave massive votes, despite the presence of a sitting Senate president in David Mark before, gave massive votes to the APC, and in response, they have not received any federal project. He said that they have that the late coming of the president to condole with families and victims, etc., was coming late, of course, and that the general reaction hasn't been the best. What are your thoughts about some of the speculation about not just his statements, but the speculation about how the president could have waited 3 months to make this trip?
Okay, the name of the general I forgot was Major General Lawrence Onoja, who was a former governor. They all spoke glowingly about the president. Now, talking of the timeline or the time lag in which the visit took place, it has been explained. The press statement we issued early last week when we announced that the visits were going to start was that the president had waited for reports and had studied those reports. And now it was time for him to move. That is the explanation. He needed to receive those reports.
And the other issues raised by the ranking senator?
Yes, there are issues that resonate from the entire country. Whatever part of the country the president visits, they will tell him that they do not have enough appointments, they do not have enough projects and all that. It resonates around the country. And you know that it's a question of resources. Okay. If there are resources, all those things will be done.
Mr. Adesina, I find it interesting that what struck you is that people have a lot of respect for the president.
One, I said many.
Well, it's the first thing you have,
yes,
you have highlighted.
Well, of course, that is foundational.
In this situation, this is about, I mean, in the African culture, it is generally that when you even want to present a problem, you will come first and foremost telling the person that you have confidence that the person can solve the problem. But then there's a question of whether or not...
Not at the expense of reality. You must also face the reality. If you think the person can't solve the problem, you also tell him to his face that we know you will not do justice on this. No, you don't do it at the expense of reality.
If the people are saying that, Mr. President, we saw you move to Zamfara, immediately this, immediately the crisis happened. I heard that. I mean, that's one of the things.
No, you are a media person. You should be sure. Did Mr. President move to Zamfara? He didn't.
What happened in the Zamfara situation?
He sent.
I remember very clearly that there was a situation where the president was in military fatigue.
Well, it was a visit to Zamfara, not after any killings.
In military fatigue?
Yes.
What was the message he was trying to send?
It was a visit to Zamfara, to some military formations. He's a retired general.
Well,
that visit we're talking about has nothing to do with the spate of killings.
Just a moment.
And that was...
there are very, very few occasions where you see the commander-in-chief wear a military fatigue.
That was 2016.
I remember when he goes to Borno or some of those places, I mean the northeast, he wears a military fatigue because he's also trying to boost confidence in the troops. When he went to Zamfara, I remember that picture of him wearing a military fatigue, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians remember that picture.
That was in 2016. There was no killing.
In 2016?
Yes.
Perhaps there was no killing.
There
but
was
for a
no
lot of
killing
people,
then.
that picture remains in their minds. And so if the time, it is left for you to justify that.
But we need to get our facts right. That's just it. We need to get our facts
right.
Maybe
we can put the facts in perspective. I will imagine that the president would have told, the general there that Mr. General, I'm sorry, or Mr. Ex-General, I'm sorry, I did not go to Zamfara. But I don't think that the president put that out there, did he?
Put what out?
Did he correct the ex-general who spoke on that?
No, nobody mentioned Zamfara yesterday. No, I was there.